What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So we have a Week 6 matchup, Green Bay Packers versus New York Jets coming up. It's bound to be exciting. 3-2 record for both teams. For the Packers is a little bit more of an oddity for them. Usually they're a fast start. They've been able to get double-digit wins for season after season for quite a while now. And Rodgers just getting his recent contract extension. And this is a little bit concerning, not just because of the record itself, but how they've gotten to that record. But we'll dive into that here shortly. The Jets, on the other hand, we're absolutely cherishing this 3-2 record. I mean, not only is this the first time that we got a September win in years, but we end up getting two of them, and then we actually finally win for the first time in 2 years against a division opponent as well. So we are riding high, and technically in blowout fashion. We ran away with it in the fourth quarter against the Dolphins, but irregardless, nobody really predicted this at this point, considering we started off with the AFC gauntlet and then how hard we expected the AFC East to be. So there's a lot of first and a lot of things happening for the New York Jets, if not for the first time in franchise history, at least for the first time in a while. 3-2 is our best start since 2017. We're over 500 as a record for the first time since 2018, and we ended up only starting off 1-0 that season. So it's been quite a bit since we've been able to consistently say that we're over 500 as a team. And it's the first time that we never trailed coming off that Dolphins game, in the first time in 23 games. So a lot of excitement, a lot of good stuff that's been put on tape. I mean, it's a little bit uncommon, but it's our rookies that are actually leading the way for our entire team. So facing this matchup against the Packers, kind of what are some of the expectations, right? I love Zach Wilson's quote coming off of that Dolphins victory. We are expected to come here and win. And it's great because it's coming not only from the offense, but from the quarterback itself. I feel like a lot of what we've been seeing and trying to keep the confidence level where it should be has been coming from the defense. Players like CJ Mosley, players like DJ Reed. We have Sauce Gardner, who's been bringing his swag to the table. Quentin Williams has been stepping up more in a vocal role. Carl Lawson getting comfortable, getting back on the field and, stepping back into his powers. So it's good to kind of see that enthusiasm and a bit of that swagger as well. Now, with the Packers versus Jets, there's a few things, when we talk about the Packers, there's been some concerns for them, right? For one, they're just coming off their loss to the Giants and Daniel Jones. And it's interesting because the Giants are almost in a way in the same shape that we seen Zach Wilson in at the end of his rookie year, where he's back, he's healthy, he's playing ball, he's playing potentially some of the best ball in his career, but he's doing it with a very severe lack of resources. I mean, our wide receiver corps looked almost as bad as what the Jets doled out towards the last few weeks of last season, and yet they were able to go out there and grind out an overtime win, coming back more than double-digit points to secure the victory. So for the Packers, there's some concerns, right? For one, they don't have as much of a balanced or run-oriented offense this season as they've had in seasons past, and having that offense skew away from the running game, and implementing more of a passing attack, especially considering they've been doing well in the first half of games, is a bit concerning, and it makes me feel like they've been reaching to kind of make certain parts of their offense click. More specifically, so they've been struggling quite a bit with the deep ball passing attack. They don't really have that go-to weapon, which would have been Devontae Adams before, and in lieu of that, that opens up a lot of other players in the intermediate to short range. So they've been almost forcing an issue. I mean, Alan Lazard has definitely balled out quite a bit for them, but you can't necessarily say this is my guy that's generally going to win these 50-50 balls, and then don't necessarily have a speedster. They're relying on a lot of rookies that they finally drafted to try to beef up talent around him, and then the slow development of the highest wide receiver they've drafted in a while, in Christian Watkins. It takes a lot to earn Aaron Rodgers, respect and security out there on the field, and Christian Watkins dropping one of his first passes, albeit in like the first week of the season. It's things that tend to linger for Aaron Rodgers, and he's known as being particularly hard on his offense. when you take a look at some other things, I mean, it took overtime for them to beat the Patriots, and Bailey Zapp, who's looked a little bit better maybe than advertised, but this is something Bill Belichick has been known and accustomed to do when emergency concerns pop up. He hasn't necessarily had to worry about it from the quarterback position, but if anybody's going to be able to go out there and make it look like they're still running a first string offense, it's going to be Bill Belichick. And so, still concerning, even with the recent game the Patriots had where they blew out the Lions, I want to say it was. But yeah, I mean, to lose to Daniel Jones in that wide receiver core that they trolled out, I mean, Saquon Barkley obviously is kind of the one-man offense for that team right now. But a highly disappointing game for the Packers, and not a situation they were expecting to see themselves in, as they very easily could be undefeated on the season. We also have a few personal connective ties that are going on here, right? Towards the end of the game last week where they lost to the Giants, there was some news that was circulating that Jaire Alexander ended up kind of being the main quote, but that this was going around from other players in the locker room as well, that there's potentially some concerns on the season already about where things may be trending. Jaire Alexander, to paraphrase, essentially said, though, that they're not concerned, but if they were to take this L to the Jets this week, that is going to raise some red flags for them. And, Aaron Rodgers is kind of the internal cosmetic force in the NFL, I guess you can say. So he essentially had some concerns about that even being voiced out there, because he essentially believes in manifestation, and he doesn't want to speak an L into existence. But there are some things that are going to play into our favor, right? We talked about the fact that they're going away from the run game, which the run game has actually been doing pretty well. As a team, they're essentially running at 5 yards per carry. We know that A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones can be a problem at any given point in time, but them trying to force feed their wide receivers happens to work in our favor with how well our secondary has been turning things around, specifically for the safeties, but we know the cornerbacks have been absolutely locking players down in the entirety of these games. So that should bode well for us, that tends to be something that continues as a trend for them. Also coming off that, again, we have this personal concerns that maybe the defense, and it's interesting that it's coming from Jaire Alexander, but the defense is concerned about how things are panning out for the team, and there's wear and tear that's happening down there as well. They also have jet lag that is coming from their London game, right? So I've had the luxury of having to travel a little bit for work in the past, and it is a real thing. I thought it was kind of like a couple hours, maybe an overnight thing, but depending on the length of the flight, etc., and whatever else you have going on, that is something that can be a prolonged effect for these guys. And so that works in our favor, that, them coming back from London and having to get back into the wear and tear of the NFL grind with practices and everything else. That's something we could capitalize on. And I talked about it. The Packers have done well in the first half of games, but they have been absolutely horrendous in the second half. I mean, this is in stark contrast to the Jets, ironically, and we've essentially been fourth quarter warriors. I mean, when you do a comparison, we've been able to put 58 points up between offense, defense, special teams. The Packers have only been able to score 12 points in the fourth quarter, which has contributed to a lot of these comeback losses that they've been seeing. So it's going to be interesting. Zach Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers. We have this mentorship kind of rivalry, but friendship going on between them. Aaron Rodgers is essentially taking Zach Wilson under his wing, according to earlier reports that we've had, with them staying connected ever since we had those joint practices 2 years ago. And we'll see. Can the master be beaten by the mentoree? Either way, though, it should be a very good game for us. I think, as has been the case for most of these games, we match up very strongly where there's some potential weaknesses for the Packers. If there's going to be anything to say about this game, though, I think one of the trends that I've seen recently on Twitter, there was a comment that went out there about the Jets' 3-2 record coming in its backup second and third string quarterbacks, whereas we've lost against Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrows, who are known to be, essentially one of the cream of the crops in the NFL quarterback ranks. So if we take down Aaron Rodgers, this should give us some legitimate traction as not only having a 3-game win streak, but potentially saying that the New York Jets are legit and definitely a force to be reckoned with to potentially not even have to worry about a wild card, but maybe earn a legitimate spot in the playoffs. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are about how this Packers versus Jets game is going to go. And score prediction wise, I will probably say I've been predicting a lot of blowouts recently. I'll say this one is probably more so of a competitive but modest game. I'm going Jets with a victory here. I will say 27-20 Jets dub. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are, though, and I will catch you again. Peace.